September 12th, 1938. A modest apartment in Naples, Italy. Lucky Luciano sat reading the newspaper when his doorman buzzed. "Mr. Luciano, there are two men here to see you. They say they're from the government." Lucky knew this moment was coming. He'd been living in Italy for 8 years since his deportation from America in 1946. He'd kept quiet, stayed out of Italian politics, ran his American operations through couriers and phone calls. But Mussolini's government had been watching, and now they wanted something. Lucky told his doorman to send them up. 2 men entered. Expensive suits, government credentials. The lead envoy introduced himself as Antonio Ferro, an official from Mussolini's Ministry of Popular Culture. "Mr. Luciano," Ferro began, "Il Duce is aware of your presence in Italy. He's also aware of your considerable influence in America." Lucky said nothing, just waited. Italy and America may soon be on opposite sides of a conflict. When that happens, Il Duce wants to ensure that certain American interests remain sympathetic to Italian concerns. "You want me to be a spy," Lucky said flatly. "We prefer the term liaison. You have connections in American ports, unions, businesses. Information that could be valuable to Italy." Lucky leaned back. "And if I refuse?" Ferro's expression hardened. "Mr. Luciano, you're here by Italy's generosity. That generosity can be withdrawn. Sicily has many remote villages. Men disappear there all the time." This was the moment. Lucky could submit, align with Mussolini's regime, become a fascist collaborator, trade information for safety. Or he could refuse and face the consequences. Lucky Luciano looked Antonio Ferro in the eye and said one word: "No." Ferro blinked, genuinely surprised. "I don't think you understand the situation." "I understand perfectly. Mussolini wants to use me against America. I'm not doing it. I'm American. I was born Salvatore Lucania in Sicily, but I became Charles Luciano in New York. That's my country, not this one. Your country deported you. Doesn't matter. I'm still American, and I don't work for fascists." Ferro stood. "You're making a serious mistake, Mr. Luciano." "Maybe, but it's my mistake to make." The 2 envoys left. Lucky knew what was coming next. Mussolini didn't accept refusal. The regime would either arrest him, deport him to some remote location, or worse. Lucky had 48 hours to make a move. What Lucky did next was brilliant. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He made a phone call to the American consulate in Naples, September 13th, 1938, 9:00 a.m. Lucky walked into the U.S. consulate and asked to speak with the consul general. He was told the consul was busy. "Tell him Lucky Luciano is here with information about Italian intelligence operations targeting American interests." The consul general saw him immediately. Lucky sat across from Consul William Barlow, a career diplomat who knew exactly who Lucky was. "Mr. Luciano, you're aware that you're prohibited from re-entering the United States?" "I'm not asking to come back. I'm offering information." "What kind of information?" Lucky explained the meeting with Ferro. Mussolini's attempt to recruit him as a spy. The threats. "And you refused," Barlow said, studying Lucky carefully. "I'm American. Doesn't matter that I can't go home. I'm not helping a foreign government target my country." Barlow was silent for a moment. Then he made a decision that probably saved Lucky's life. "I'm going to send a cable to Washington. I'm going to inform the State Department that an American citizen, albeit a deported one, is being threatened by Italian intelligence for refusing to cooperate with espionage activities. I'm also going to recommend that the U.S. government take steps to ensure your safety." "What kind of steps?" "I don't know yet. But Mussolini's government won't touch you if they think it'll cause diplomatic problems with America." Lucky nodded. "I appreciate that. Mr. Luciano, I want to be clear. This doesn't change your status. You're still deported. You're still prohibited from U.S. territory. But what you did today took courage. Most men in your position would have cooperated." "Most men don't understand what America means," Lucky replied. "That cable Barlow sent probably saved Lucky's life, because later that same day, Italian police showed up at Lucky's apartment. But instead of arresting him, they simply told him he was being placed under protective observation. A polite way of saying he was being watched, but not harmed. Mussolini's government had received word that the Americans were aware of the situation. Touching Lucky now would create diplomatic complications the Italians didn't want. Lucky had turned a threat into protection by doing the one thing Mussolini didn't expect. He'd aligned with the country that deported him against the country giving him refuge. But the story gets more complicated, because 3 years later, when America entered World War II, Lucky's refusal to work with the Italians became valuable. In 1942, U.S. naval intelligence contacted Lucky through intermediaries. They had a problem. German submarines were sinking American ships in the Atlantic. Intelligence suggested Nazi agents were operating on New York's waterfront. Naval intelligence wanted Lucky's help securing the docks. They knew Lucky still had influence with the longshoremen's unions, the shipping companies, the people who controlled the ports. Lucky, still in prison at the time, he wouldn't be deported until 1946, agreed to help. He used his connections to identify security risks, root out potential saboteurs, and ensure the docks remained secure. Some historians credit Lucky's cooperation with preventing significant Nazi sabotage operations. In 1943, when the Allies planned the invasion of Sicily, naval intelligence came back. They needed maps, contacts, intelligence about Sicilian geography and local power structures. Lucky provided it. Connected them with Sicilian mafia figures who hated Mussolini. Helped pave the way for the successful invasion. His reward? Commutation of his sentence and deportation to Italy. The irony is perfect. Lucky refused to help Italy against America in 1938. Then he helped America invade Italy in 1943. And Mussolini's government never knew that the man they'd tried to recruit as a spy had become one of their most effective enemies. After the war, Lucky returned to Naples as a deported American. The new Italian government, Mussolini was dead, the fascists were gone, left him alone. Lucky lived quietly, ran his American operations remotely, died of a heart attack at Naples Airport in 1962. But that moment in September 1938, when Lucky looked at Mussolini's envoy and said no, defined who Lucky Luciano really was. He wasn't just a mobster. He wasn't just a strategist. He was an American who understood that some things matter more than personal safety. Years later, in the 1950s, a journalist asked Meyer Lansky about Lucky's decision to refuse Mussolini. Meyer said, "People think gangsters have no principles. Lucky proved them wrong. He could have saved himself a lot of trouble by working with the Italians. But he looked at it simply. You don't betray your country, even if your country doesn't want you. That's the untold story of Lucky Luciano. Not the violence, not the empire, but the moment when he had to choose between safety and loyalty. He chose loyalty to a country that had deported him. And that choice, that refusal, set in motion events that would help win World War II. September 12th, 1938. A modest apartment in Naples. A choice that seemed simple but wasn't. Mussolini's envoy offered safety in exchange for betrayal. Lucky Luciano said no, and proved that even in exile, even stripped of power, some men cannot be bought.